All right, to finish up this lecture, um, there were plenty of new business opportunities in America. One of the beliefs that most Americans had, especially the rich, was that the poor deserved to be poor and the rich deserved to be rich. Those who were suited to be wealthy would have it, success. This is known as social Darwinism. It was a driving force of American business at this time. Business did begin to grow because there was more money to be made and more people had money in their pockets to buy products. There was more country to sell because of the railroad system and because of communication innovation. There was more area to sell your goods to. And companies controlled more of the production. Instead of having several companies get together to make one product, all of the product was created by one company and all the profits were shared by one company. Also, we had a new class of, of workers in the company called managers, and that with the managerial system, you could break the company down into little tiny workforces that were controlled through a kind of pyramid hierarchy that led up to the owner of the business. A couple terms I'd like you to know: an oligopoly is when the market is controlled by just a few large companies. That's not illegal. That happens all the time today. What is illegal is a monopoly. That is when one company has complete control of a market because we believe in a free market system in America where everyone has the opportunity to compete. An example, Carnegie Steel, uh, owned by Andrew Carnegie, one of the richest men in America, at one time the richest person in America. Carnegie Steel was created on a system of vertical consolidation. He bought all the businesses that made up all the phases of production of his steel. So, you can see by the pyramid, he owned the fields where they got all the raw materials, the iron ore and coke. They would take that to the mill to make it into steel. He owned the ships and the railroads that moved the steel, and of course, he was the one who sold the steel. So all the phases of production, from the minute it was the raw materials were pulled out of the ground to the minute that the buyers bought it, he controlled. He didn't have to share the profits with anybody. That's vertical consolidation. Different than horizontal consolidation. This would be like Standard Oil, which was owned by John D. Rockefeller, and it was the largest corporation in America. Um, that is when you buy out all your competitors, essentially making a monopoly. The small independent companies in the bottom left were owned by Standard Oil. They may not say Standard Oil, but they are owned by Standard Oil. Um, it's a trust. A trust is when a monopoly controls a whole bunch of small businesses. All those small businesses answer to the parent company. That's a trust. Illegal. The reason why it's illegal is because the whole American way of business is built on competition. And in a trust and in a horizontal consolidation company, there is no competition. The government's response was to create something called the Sherman Antitrust Act, which outlawed combining companies if the combination of those companies gave it an unfair advantage in business. The problem was that there was really no way to enforce it. The law was written very vaguely, and it was implemented very sporadically, and it was ineffective. And that is the end of the lecture.